To order, and I ask Mr. Hyde to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd ask you to stay standing. We're going to start a new tradition here. We're going to ask for a moment of silence for our veterans, both past and present. Thank you. Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Hartman.
Here.
Rose. Here. Schrader.
Here.
Manine. Here. Johnson.
Here.
Hendricks.
Here.
Hyde.
Here.
Brzezinski.
Here.
Mano. Smith. Bono.
Here.
Ackerman.
Here.
Kaplinsky.
Here.
Horst.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Shaw.
Here.
Weekly.
Here.
16.
Before we go on, I just wanted to, starting that new tradition. I know we have legislators here that are veterans, and I'd like to thank you, and if you could raise your hands and acknowledge it. I don't, Mr. Smith, where did you serve, Mr. Smith, and when?
I never served overseas. I was in the service and served in the United States, several different camps. It was back in 1953 to 1955.
Mr. Hyde?
I was in the Navy. I served from 1960 to 64. I spent 2 years in Puerto Rico. Very bad duty. And then
I feel for you.
I spent some time in Lakehurst, New Jersey, and I deployed aboard the Forest Stock.
Mr. Brzezinski, do you remember also?
107th Military Police out of Utica, New York.
Very good. Anyone else? Well, on behalf of the Herkimer County and citizens, thank you for serving. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Pursuant to Rule 8, are there any objections, corrections to the minutes of the January 18, 2012 meeting? If there are none, then I'll order them approved. Reading in full of claims disallowed by the auditor and presented for audit by the legislature. Nothing on the desk. We'll now dispense with the regular session and to allow for a presentation by Jay Lyon in regards to the project.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to make my presentation on network construction projects that were completed in 2011 by the Highway Department. I handed out a document which contains a more detailed description of the projects that were completed, and there's some pictures in there showing the before and after shots of the projects. We completed several projects. Approximately 15.91 miles of roads were rehabilitated for a total cost of $4,079,590. These projects were in Area 1, which I brought these maps to show you our oil and stone project, which is our maintenance quadrants, and our slurry seal map that shows our 5 areas that we worked within. Last year we worked in Area 1, which on this map is Manheim, Danube, Stark, and Warren. And these projects were completed in that area. That's basically our concept with capital construction projects. We try to work within the quadrants that we're working in that year. We do have 4 maintenance quadrants for oil and stone. We have 5 areas, and they're noted by the different colors on this map for the slurry seal program. So we could be working together with 2 different areas. For instance, this year we'll be in area quadrant 2, which is Salisbury, Norway, and Fairfield, our oiling program, but we'll be in area 5 for our slurry seal program. So we'll be working in both areas. And area 5 composes Russia, Ohio, and town of Webb. So our projects this year are in those areas, so we can work them together with our programs and our maintenance programs. So we have a detailed list in the document that I handed out to you. These are some of this map shows the area that we were concentrating on. And it does show Travis Road, Murphy Road, Kyle Road, Pine Grove, Whitehall, Hogsback, and Travis Road, where the projects will be completed. I do have a detailed description of the projects and of course the pictures that show the projects that we completed before and after. I also included a chart that shows the projects that we completed, repair projects that we completed based on the floods that we've seen last year. We were involved in 42 projects that were damaged. These sections of roads or areas within the highway system were damaged between the two flood events that we had. One in April, and the other one was the storm, the Hurricane Irene and Tropical Storm Lee that was in August, September. So we dealt with 42 projects. The total expenditure was $487,490. We have been approved for 87.5% of that cost, which was $426,553. And we completed all those projects, just actually completed the last project just last week. So all those projects, 42 projects were completed by the Highway Department. Those were solely completed within the Highway Department with highway crews. We expect that we'll receive the funding this year. We received a little over $100,000 already on funding for those projects. It's slow in coming, federal monies, state monies. I want to commend the highway crews, supervisors in the garage. They worked extremely hard last year to complete all the projects that we did the capital construction projects and the repairs from the flood. All our crews worked on those very diligently and very professionally, and we completed not only the capital construction projects but all the repairs. Any questions?
Jay,
Yes.
in the new quadrant that you're going to be in, is there any federal money available for any of those roads that fall under that guideline, or no?
No. Federal, first of all, if they did qualify, the ones that we're working on, no, they aren't in the federal aid highway system. But if they did qualify, the federal monies probably wouldn't be available for another 4 years for any projects because we're that backlog from projects that are already on the state transportation improvement program and the lack of federal funds.
Are there in the different districts, in legislative districts, are there more federal roads that can qualify in one area more than the other? You know what I'm trying to say?
I mean, we have about 130 miles of the 576-mile highway system that would qualify for federal funds. They're on the federally aided highway system, and a lot of those roads we have used federal funds to reconstruct them. We do have some proposals in for roads to be rebuilt or reconstructed, rehabilitated under that program, but the money just aren't there. The monies are being used for projects that were underfunded from this last program, and we haven't even seen the new program yet. So I would say probably now they're talking about qualifying projects. It's going to be on a competitive basis. Prior to that, it wasn't on a competitive basis, but now the new program, they're looking at a competitive-based project selection. So it's going to be more difficult to get federal funds at this point, unless legislation has changed.
I gotta say one more thing. You've heard me say this before. Thank God Herkimer County got you, let me tell you.
Thank you.
Thank God, boy.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
We'll now have comment period by the residents. I would ask you
Each of you have comments no longer than 5 minutes, for a total of 30 minutes. And I'll first call on Christine Shaheen, and her subject matter is the environment. Come right up.
Well, it's kind of a deja vu for me. I see a lot of familiar faces from 1990 and the whole landfill days. And I don't know if you recognize me, but I do remember many of you. And I wanted to sort of reintroduce myself because I believe that where we are in our life in space and time is demanding a lot more engagement and intentionality around our environment, which is obviously our natural resources, our money in the bank. Everything comes from our natural resources. There's not a thing that we can create that doesn't start there. And knowing that our natural resources are our money in the bank, the only difference is they do not have overdraft protection. I have 6 grown children. My son was 12 when we were delivering the OD, and we found out about the landfill through a notice in the paper. We were delivering newspapers, and that's how we found out about it. And that catapulted me into a more active civic role. Out of those 6 children, I have 2 lawyers. One who will be going to Amsterdam to get his master's in international law, and one who works for the government at Brookhaven Research Lab. I have a daughter that built a sustainable community in Portland, Oregon. And I have another daughter at 25 who leads a global youth-based climate initiative for youth. From those roots of being involved locally on environmental issues, I have served for 20 years on various boards of directors, including the Citizens Environmental Coalition, which is a statewide toxics organization for New York State, the New York State Labor and Environment Network, because we understand that this has a jobs factor, and we work hand in hand with labor unions and understanding how to not just point fingers but create solutions. My dad is an Orthodox priest, which is, Jordanville down the road. And from that, I represented the Antiochian Orthodox Archdiocese of North America on the Eco-Justice Working Group for the National Council of Churches. This is where all the different Christian faiths came together to discuss and empower our congregations as to creation care, because this is care of creation. I am currently an eco-business owner in North Falls, and I was a candidate. Bruce Weekly and I had fun this last election trying to get word out about our different perspectives. Anyway, I'm here to reintroduce myself and to offer my vast expertise on environmental issues to the legislature should you need them. And I want to finish with just us taking a very deep breath and respecting the fact that in that action, we have exchanged much more than just breath. So everybody here is definitely united. And we want to be respectful with how we interact. And I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Let's call George Demery of Demery Realty, and his subject matter is the jail.
It's a good place to hide, I think, right up here. The reason I wanted to come up is because the We hear all this problems about the jail being here in Herkimer, and they're gonna fight you tooth and nail, there's no question about that. The people just don't want it here. And I have a wonderful piece of property over on 5S, it's the other side of Washington Street Bridge. You have the information in front of you. Do you have a copy, please? There's 50 acres over there, 1,730 feet of road frontage. It's back, on the back side is a throughway, goes through. And the front side is on 5S. Eastern Rock used to have a paving company worked out of there, and that's closed down, so that would border it on the west side. The east side is bordered by that creek that's always running over 5S. And there's some trees along there, and the other side of that is a little golf course. And so I don't think there'd be much problem there at all. And Steve, Christina, Lucille, and Florence own the property. They've always been farmers there all their lives, and your dad runs a good farm there. So this is all farmland, no concrete to move. Land is fairly level. All the way along the 1,700 feet, just about all the way along, you could put roadways in. So someday if you wanted to move your transportation, your trucks and everything out of Herkimer, that 50 acres is a great place to put it. You'd have all kinds of room. The price is, of the property, I had it listed for $950,000. They lowered the price to $850,000, I asked them to, and they did. And $850,000, when I saw your report out for when you were the prisoners over here, when you were putting them out into other areas, it was costing you $850,000 just for 9 months. And I think time you get done fighting all the lawsuits and everything about this piece that you're trying to get up here on Route 28, you're going to have a lot more money in that involved. So this is an alternative for you. And any of you have any questions?
This isn't a question and answer period, it's just your thoughts. So, but anyway, yeah. Any?
I know at one time you had picked this spot out when you first started looking for a jail, and you said it was your #1 spot. You went to the Lucille and Florence, and they didn't want to sell it at that time. Now they do, and I'm handling it for them. So you'll be working through me.
Thank you, appreciate it. Next, Chris Jackson from Mohawk, and her subject matter's thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got an unusual book here. It's simply How to Kill 11 Million People. But there are a few things in here that I have had thoughts about that the author, who's Andy Andrews, has written. And he says here, several years ago I asked myself 3 questions. Where do we begin to find common ground? This is something I've thought about because years ago, neighbors would get together and talk over the back fence or on their front porch. If there was a dispute about something, they settled it amongst themselves. There was no, I'm going to sue you or whatever that we have going on today. We've got many things going on. And in regards to what we want or don't want for the future of America, we're in trouble, people. We all know it. He says, is it possible to write something that doesn't use the words Republican or Democrat, liberal or conservative, yet conveys a message which everyone could agree? I have to agree with that statement. We need to do away with titles. We need to get back down to solving problems one-on-one and not saying, well, you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, or you're a liberal. Can it be written in concise fashion? You did a good job on that. It's an 80-page book. I'd like to quote Clodo back here for you, something to think about. The punishment which the wise suffer who refuse to take part in the government is to live under the government of worse men. We all need to come forward. There are quite a few people here. I'd like to see more people coming in, more participations. The other thing is, it's correct that you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Then is it possible that if you don't know the truth, its absence can place you in bondage? We need openness in government. We need straightforward answers to questions that we are asking. No one is an island unto themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Continue on with communications. Communications received by the legislature and the committees to which they have been referred are listed on the agenda. Does any member of the legislature request mention of any particular communication at this time? None? We'll move on. Pursuant to Rule 6, Number 8, reports of standing committees. I'll ask if there's any committee chair who wishes to speak or make remarks on progress on certain issues that we've covered in the past few weeks. Would anyone like to start? Mr. Smith, Chairman of Human Resources.
I have a report on Human Resource Committee. We met 2 times since our last meeting. The first meeting was Wednesday, January 25th. There were 7 agenda items, 4 of which were mental health items, 3 public health, and 1 other, which was an open discussion on the country manner. And on Thursday, February 9th, we met in a joint meeting with the Ways and Means Committee. We had 11 agenda items for human resources. 3 were mental health, 3 Department of Social Services, 2 of which were acted upon. There was one item that we had some disagreement on and didn't act upon it. Since that time, it's been resolved, and we will act upon that in the very near future. 4 were public health. 1 was the update of the CHA, and 1 was concerning the Office of the Aging. I myself had a discussion with after discussion, all legislative members present had their chance to talk. All items acted upon were passed by the committee and forwarded to tonight's meeting for your approval. I also met during the month with the supervisor and director of the Department of Social Service, along with Mr. Wallace, for their regular scheduled PINS meeting. That's my report.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Poplinski.
In planning development, there are a couple of items on the consent agenda that I would like to just mention. The first one is we have an appointment to our Workforce Investment Board. Jody Leidenberg will represent Herkimer County for a 3-year term. The Workforce Investment Board is a 3-county group whose purpose is to train, educate, and make available jobs and advancement for those people that are working or people seeking jobs. We'd like to thank all the members that are from Herkimer County that represent us on that board. The second item is we also received our Herkimer County Youth Bureau annual report, and a couple of things on that I would like to mention. First of all, Herkimer County sponsors a youth summer employment program. And in this program, there's some 300 youth in Herkimer County that get jobs for the summer, a 7-week period, 112 hours.
throughout the county and in municipal or non-profit organizations. It's a good situation. It gives these youth a chance to see what might be available in Herkimer County once they graduate and move into the workforce or are going on to college. Another aspect of that program is the Old Forge Area Transportation Program. That program, we offer transportation to youth who get jobs in Old Forge during the summer, during the tourism season. Many of these youth would not be able to work up there without this means of transportation. So I think it's a very successful program, both transportation and the youth summer employment jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Wojcicki. Anyone else? Mrs. Minnie?
I'd just like to report that we did have an Administration and Veterans Affairs meeting, and as everyone sees, we did go ahead and are doing the moment of silence for our veterans. And on the veterans, we have an update on the ID cards. I talked to Sylvia Rowan today and Mr. Miller, and there is a committee meeting tonight at the American Legion, which Sylvia is presenting to the veterans where she's at with the ID cards, and it should be fairly close that they're going to be put out to our veterans. And also, according to the new law requiring certain records be made available to the public prior to open meetings, at present time we have the agendas for the committee meetings and legislative meetings posted on our Herkimer County website, as well as the proposed resolutions. And anyone can find the information on the website where the committee meetings are listed at the bottom of the page under documents.
Thank you, Mrs. Minnie. Anyone else? Mr. Russell?
Yeah, we, Ways and Means Committee, which handles the finance issues and the personnel issues within the county, I had a meeting, and I was going to mention that a lot of the resolutions that we voted upon, which came forth, will be on the internet. So a lot of them are straightforward. One of the things that we looked at was advertising for the office for the aging director. As many of you know, that Mary is retiring, and we're certainly going to be losing a wonderful employee. And my hat's off to her for the wonderful job that she's done. However, there is a job opening there, and if people are interested in the position, then obviously get your resumes in as soon as possible. And like I said, most of this is a lot of boilerplate things that we go through towards the beginning of the year to make sure our finances are dealt with for the end of last year. So, and anytime anybody has any questions within the public, please feel free to contact us. Our numbers are on the website, as well as most emails are on the website. So please feel free to do that.
That's it? Very good. Thank you, Mr. Russell. Anyone else? Mr. Shaw?
Yeah, the Sorrel Ward District meeting, we approved 5 representatives to the Inter-County Board. We're bringing that forward for a vote tonight. And the Inter-County it's a group of 11 counties that work on similar issues that support each other to get things through the state with a little more power.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Anyone else? Mr. Hendricks?
Public safety's met, and we're approving the December sheriff's report, showed a 19.71 average daily population being boarded out. Total cost for that month for boarding out expenses were $68,760. We also have met and extending alternatives to incarceration contract for another 6 months with approximately a 50% increase in funding for that. And then we also have a $30,000 grant in connection from the YMCA in Mohawk Valley for law enforcement coordinator in the district attorney's office.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? That's it. Okay, we'll continue on. We'll now continue with the consent agenda. Will the clerk please read the title of each resolution under consent?
Number 30 is the Planning and Development Committee adopting the annual report of the Youth Bureau. 31 is Ways and Means adopting the annual report of the county standalone workers' comp plan. 32 is the annual report of the former Herkimer County self-insurance plan. 33 is the monthly report of the sheriff. 34 is concerning the membership on the Workforce Investment Board. And 35 is transferring some funds.
I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Hyde, second. By Mr. Smith, Mr. Hendricks. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution passes. Number 36. This resolution authorizes annual renewals of contracts to provide private duty nursing services for qualified individuals in the Department of Social Services Long-Term Care Program. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith. Second by Mr. Shaw and Mr. Ackerman. Any discussion? Mr. Hartman.
Just have one question. Does this have anything to do with CHA and then new CHA regulations?
Mr. Seymour is here. Mr. Seymour, you want to answer that?
These are two contracts that we have through our managed care and alternatives unit. They are personal care for Medicaid recipients through us, so it's not related to the job.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Motion was made in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion, or the resolution passes. Number 37.
Human Resources and Ways and Means increasing payment to contractors of mental health services.
This resolution authorizes an increase in payment to consulting psychiatrists and other consulting counselors in the Department of Mental Health Services. So moved by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Shaw and Mrs. Manning. Any discussion? Mrs. Rose.
Chairman, when this was brought up to committee, I did ask to know how we contrast the salaries that we're providing here to the employees that we have in those titles, fully recognizing that these are contracted employees and we're not paying benefits on them. I'm just interested to know on the consulting counselors that we're hiring, we're raising their salary from $30 to $32 an hour, how that contrasts to the employees that are on the county payroll. I don't think I got that information. If I did, I lost it.
Did anyone provide that to Mr. Scudder?
No, I can't provide that off the cuff.
We can get that.
I'd be glad to.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay.
No.
One nay. Number 39.
Is Human Resources, Ways and Means authorizing contracts for mental health services.
This resolution authorizes reimbursement of malpractice insurance to mental health consultant associated with additional services to the inmates of the county correctional facility. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Smith. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Resolution passes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we missed 38.
I missed it. Okay. Well, duly noted, we'll go back to 38 now.
Hi. And that is the contracts for mental health.
This resolution authorizes contract for 2012 and 2013 with various agencies listed to provide mental health services for county residents. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Russell, Mr. Weekly, and Mr. Poplinski. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Resolution passes. All right, we'll go to 40 now.
40 is Human Resources, Ways and Means for staffing change in the public health nursing service.
This resolution authorizes a temporary staffing change in the public health nursing service. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Russell. And Mr. Shaw. Any discussion? Mr. Hartman.
I have one comment. I believe I brought it up at a committee meeting. This is somebody extra due to the fact that
nobody else in the department can handle something like this. And we gotta have assurances that we're cross-training, so in the future, if this individual decides to retire, that somebody else can handle it.
We have made a cognizant effort of that, and I'd let Dr. O'Keefe answer that in its entirety.
Most of these billing problems will not be with us anymore when we do not have a CHA. So actually, we feel that this is an obsolete position, and this retired person is an expert, but will be carrying it out to its end.
Mrs. Rose had
No, I'm fine, thank you.
anyone else? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Roll call. This is roll call.
Manning.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Brzezinski.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
Kaplinski.
Yes.
Horst.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Weekly.
Yes.
Hartman.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
16.
Resolution passes. Number 41.
Ways and Means imposing a penalty required by the self-insurance plan for late payment.
This resolution authorizes the administrator of the self-insurance plan to impose a penalty to the town of Warren pursuant to the rules and regulations of the self-insurance plan. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Smith and Mr. Weekly. Any discussion? Mr. Hyde.
How long following the 30 days time period they pay? What was the amount?
Mr. Crandall what was the question?
How long
Yeah.
following the deadline, how long after did they pay?
I don't think
I'm sorry, I didn't see Mr. Billings in bed. Steve, you want to give a comment?
Sure. The 2% penalty is for the month of February. As long as we receive payment in the month of February, it's a $291 fine. If we don't, it's 1% for each additional month after that, which is $145. We have not received payment.
Is there anyone else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Again, roll call.
Weekly.
Yes.
Hartman.
No.
Rose.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Manning.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Brzezinski.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
Kaplinski.
Yes.
Horst.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw.
Resolution passes. Number 42.
Public Safety Emergency Management Ways and Means in connection with grant from YWCA of the Mohawk Valley.
This resolution authorizes a contract with the YWCA of the Mohawk Valley to receive funding for a law enforcement coordinator's position in the district attorney's office. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Hyde. Mr. Ackerman. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Resolution will pass. Number 43.
Ways and Means authorizing memorandum of agreement with CSCA.
This resolution authorizes a memorandum of agreement with the CSEA Local 1000 to incorporate certain changes for the CSEA employees in the Highway Department. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Forrest, second by Mr. Russell. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Roll
opposed?
call.
Three in a row.
You got these in red. Roll call.
The colored printer.
Smith.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
Kaplinski.
Yes.
Horst.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Weekly.
Yes.
Hartman.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Manning.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Brzezinski.
Yes.
16.
Resolution passed. Number 44.
Ways and Means correcting tax roll.
This resolution approves correction of the tax rolls for the parcel listed. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Weekly. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Brzezinski.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
Kaplinski.
Yes.
Corse.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Weekly.
Yes.
Hartman.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Manning.
Yes.
16.
The resolution passes. Number 45 is also a roll call.
Ways and Means for a temporary staffing change in the treasurer's office.
This resolution approves a temporary staffing change in the county treasurer's office. Roll call.
Need a motion.
Need a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Kupinski. Any discussion? Roll call.
Shaw.
Yes.
Weekly.
Yes.
Hartman.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Manning.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Brzezinski.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
Kaplinski.
Yes.
Corse.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
16.
Resolution passes. Number 46.
Ways and Means in connection with a contract with the State Office of Court Administration.
This resolution approves the annual contract with the New York State United Court System for cleaning and minor repairs to the court facilities. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second. By Mr. Poplinski and Mr. Smith. May I have a motion? I'm just seeing if they're awake. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 47.
Ways and Means granting an additional leave of absence.
This resolution authorizes an extension of leave of absence for Mary Sullivan so that she may continue to serve in a statewide office with the Civil Service Employees Association. May I have a motion?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Corse, second by Mr. Shaw. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
One no, two noes. Hendricks, aye. Resolution will pass. Number 48.
Public Safety, Emergency Management, Ways and Means extending the alternatives to incarceration contracts.
This resolution authorizing an extension through June 30th of 2012 for the annual contracts for the pretrial release and community services program. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Ackerman, Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 49.
County Properties, Ways and Means regarding sale of certain county-owned property in the town of Manheim.
This resolution authorizes sale of county-acquired parcel which is no longer necessary for highway purposes. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Schrader and Mr. Poplinski. Any discussion? Mr. Hartman.
I understand this property doesn't have much use for anything else except for the party that's purchasing it. My question is, how did we come up with the price?
That was just an offer that was made by the landowner. The offer, I believe, was $250 plus pay all the recording costs. The parcel is bounded, I believe, by the State Highway, River Road, and I think it's Violin Road. It's a parcel that was acquired when, I believe, when the State Highway was redeveloped there. And the State Department of Transportation still has maintenance authority over that they're going to have to relinquish in order for this to go through. It's my understanding that the State Department of Transportation really has no further interest in it, but still has to relinquish that. There's no other adjacent landowner because it's bounded on three sides by state or, county highway, and it's bounded by this property owner. There was no appraisal that I'm aware of. It was just an offer that was made.
Anyone else? All those in favor say aye.
Roll call.
I don't have it as roll call. I got it as voice. So, if it's roll call, we'll go roll call.
Hartman.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Manning.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Brzezinski.
Yes.
Nano. Smith. Bono.
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
Kaplinski.
Yes.
Corse.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Weekly.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Number 51. I'm sorry, 50.
Natural Resources appointing representatives to the Intercounty Committee.
This resolution names representatives to the Intercounty Legislative Committee of the Adirondacks for the year 2012. I have a motion. Mr. Weekly, second by Mr. Shaw. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Resolution passed. 51.
Ways and Means determining officers and employees of the county required to file financial disclosure forms.
This resolution amends the list of officers and employees who are required to file annual financial disclosure forms. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Weekly. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 52. This is a memorial resolution for Ruth H. Miller.
Whereas Ruth H. Miller departed this life on January 28, 2012, whereas Ruth Miller was an outstanding citizen, devoted wife, mother, grandmother, residing as a lifelong resident in the village of Herkimer. And whereas Ruth Miller had a long career in public service and was appointed clerk of the legislature in 1974, in which position she served with dedication and devotion until her retirement. Whereas Ruth Miller gave of her time and talents as a member of the Christ Episcopal Church and East Herkimer Seniors, whereas the county of Herkimer and its residents have sustained a great loss by the passing of this dedicated public servant and citizen, the legislature does hereby express its deepest regrets at the decease of Ruth Miller and hope this expression of remembrance may console her family in their bereavement.
You have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Corus and everyone else. Second? Unanimous? May we take? Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Corus.
I worked with Mrs. Miller, so did Lonnie, I'm sure, and she was a sort of
My
Carol.
mentor.
Yes, Carol's mentor, and you can tell that the job continues with the same efficiency because Carol was trained by Ruth Miller. And she was a very good employee of the county.
Thank you, Mr. Corus. Anyone else?
She was kind of interesting to work with. She ran the railroad and told us what was going on most of the time and did a good job for the town. Fantastic.
Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
No opposition. Thank you. All right, now we'll go to comments of the legislators. Mr. Russell.
Mr. Chairman, I was stopped by a new judge in the town of West. His name is Jack Graham. And often we aren't necessarily told what a great job some of our departments do. And he wanted to make sure that I knew that he had made an appointment with the probation department. And he said when he got down here, he couldn't believe that they had everything ready for him. He walked in there, they answered every one of his questions, and he said that they just handled everything phenomenally. And he was really happy, and I think, I think we should give them some applause for doing such a good job. We often don't hear good things about, especially the legislators, but, sometimes their department heads. So he was very, very happy, and of course it made me very happy, and we just want to thank them for the job. Thanks.
Any other comments? Mrs. Rose, she had her hand up first.
I just have a couple of things. We talked tonight at the administration committee meeting about the things that are going to be posted on site, and Mr. Crandall was very good explaining what we're required to do, and then what we might do. The sheriff gave the report this month, and Mr. Hendricks spoke to the cost of boarding out. I hope that we'll take an opportunity to look at our website and see some of the information there and the timeliness of it. This would be a great report to put up monthly. He talked about the boarding out costs, and certainly they're expensive. We recognize our lowest daily population for the month of December was 43, and the highest daily population was 54. And I love what we get from social services when we get the graphs that show the caseloads and the various services that are being utilized. It certainly can show us trends. And this would be a great thing, and I'm hoping the one committee that I serve on, Information Services, that maybe we can talk about how we can make the website more responsive to the citizens. I think it would be great to be able to have reports such as this and the Social Services report posted on the website for those citizens that might be interested in reviewing the data. It's hard data. It's not something that's an opinion, it's a fact, and I think that it could help people to do that. You know, when we look at a 54 high daily population and people know that I guess some people are meeting to build a 130-some bed jail with a core facility for 250. You know, it raises questions. If we see a trend line, we might see that at one point we, had 100 people boarded out. I don't know, I don't recall that in any report. So I would just encourage that we look to have this kind of stuff put on the web, and that would be helpful. The other thing I'd like in terms of communication, I think is beneficial, I'd like to commend the chairman for having the committee chairs speak to what they accomplished during the committee meetings. I mean that sincerely. I think it's helpful, especially the colleges here broadcasting tonight. It's very beneficial for citizens to understand why there's not a need for some of the dialogue on these resolutions, because it was covered in committee. And more importantly, our citizens will have a way of understanding that, because we also have present here a young man who's recording our committee meetings and the legislative meetings, and they're posted on the Concerned Citizens for a Better Herkimer County. And if people go out there, they're going to be able to see the kinds of discussions that we have in our committee meetings. I think it can only serve to inform our public and let them understand the challenges that this legislature faces. I also want to address what happened here the other night, because Mr. Smith gave his report on Human Resources Committee and the joint committee that we had with Ways and Means. And I stood before this group and I spoke in December about the resolution that came out as a draft to modify the way our committees function. And in that draft, nobody was going to be able to speak at a committee unless you were a member, and you weren't going to be able to sit at the table unless you were a member. And various other things, the citizens' comments would be, the camera would shut off and let the citizens speak. Fortunately, it didn't rear its head for discussion in the committee or on the floor of this legislature, but it was drafted, it was typed, and it was circulated to us. I was very concerned. Then I spoke here, and the minority party had a news conference to talk about the selection of people on committees. And Mr. Chairman, you assured the people present that you're not on the committee, but you will always be able to make known your views on the committee. You don't have a vote, but you're there at the committee. And I think you actually, I did look at the tape of the Concerned Citizens. I think you referenced slightly in terms of the committee's ability to control that, and our rules allow for that. Our rules allow for a committee to set its own time and place, and I'm not sure if the word is procedure for the committee. So last week, there was a Human Resource Committee and a Ways and Means Committee. And there was an item that was saved to the end of the meeting agenda, very politely so, to go into executive session so the citizens who came out didn't have to go out in the hall, come back in, and go out and come back in. However, when it was called, and we had the meeting in here because there were enough people that you couldn't hold in the conference room, and the doors were shut, what did we have? We had the chairman, Mr. Smith, of the Ways and Means Committee. I'm not sure what Mr. Russell's was.
Mrs. Rose,
Yes.
I'm just going to remind you that I think I know where you're going with this.
I don't know that you do.
I'm just going to warn you that that was executive session, and anything you say about that executive session should stay in executive
All right,
session.
I believe...
Just fair warning.
I believe we didn't go into executive session. We went into executive session to discuss, as the agenda item indicated, youth contract RFPs. That was published on our agenda, okay? And so we went into executive session, and we were told by Mr. Smith, the chairman of the Human Resource Committee, that the only people that could be present during that committee meeting were the members of that committee. Now, the citizens had already left. The meeting didn't convene because those of us who were not part of that committee, myself, Mr. Brzezinski, Mr. Schrader, said we weren't leaving.
Again, that was an executive
That
session.
action is not executive, sir. That action is not executive. The committee meeting did not convene to discuss why we went into executive session. I don't have any idea how you resolve the RFPs. My point is, we were told that we had to leave. It was a contentious debate, and it went no place. You ended up not having that discussion. But what's the root of it that was said, which was not confidential, was that there had been a previous executive session and somebody disclosed what took place in that executive session, and it may well have compromised, I'm not talking specifics, Mr. Chairman.
Please. That was discussed in executive session. Am I correct?
It is not
Am I
privileged.
correct? That was discussed. What you're talking about was executive session material. You should not bring it to this floor
Mr.
right here,
Chairman,
right now. I will not hear it.
I called an attorney
I
who
would
is an
ask
ethics.
Mr. Crandall to give his opinion on that.
I believe the question happened to be whether or not a member of this legislature, a sitting county legislator, who was not a member of that particular committee, had an absolute right to attend an executive session of that committee. Right? It was my opinion then, it is my opinion now, that the only individuals who are entitled to participate in an executive session of a committee of this legislature are the members of that committee and any individual, whether it be another county legislator or a member of the public or a staff person who is specifically invited to participate in that committee meeting by the committee itself, right? And I happened to be present for that meeting, and I recall at least 2 members of this legislature who were not members of that committee, who specifically indicated that they refused to leave the executive session of that committee.
There were 3 of us that said that.
Mrs. Rose, I think I said I recall at least 2.
Just a
Okay,
point of order.
and Mrs. Rose, I'm speaking, let me finish.
I
I'm
just have a
answering-
point of order,
listen,
Mr. Chairman.
no, listen.
A point of
All right,
order, Mr.
no,
Crandall.
listen,
He is speaking what went on in that session. You're telling me I can't, and he is. I didn't ask for his opinion. I agree with him now, because I did my research. I don't.
asked for
Listen,
his opinion.
I am giving my opinion.
Fine, thank you.
Just let him finish.
My opinion is that any member of this legislature who is not a member of a committee of this legislature may only attend an executive session if they are specifically granted permission by that committee to participate in the executive session. Right? The executive session, in my opinion, did not commence at that time until those members were asked to leave left.
I appreciate
And
it.
they did not, right? And when that occurred, when that happened, then as far as what, what proceeded after, or what happened after that, it was an executive session meeting, and then I'm not gonna comment about that. My opinion
just want to
is,
understand,
my
was there an
opinion was, and I
executive
was told by some legislators here that I was wrong, and that someone was going to get an opinion, and I believe someone got a different opinion. So, my advice to the chair of that committee at the time was that only those individuals who were a member of the committee were entitled to stay unless they were invited, and that's what it remains.
Mr. Chairman, so I believe what Mr. Crandall said was that...
Mr. Rose, what I said was what I said.
I understand that, sir. What I'm trying to get to is the executive session didn't really happen because we refused to leave. That's my point. You were saying we were an exec. The point that I want to speak to...
We declared executive session, I considered an executive session, it was
Mr. Crandall just said it wasn't.
Listen, Mr. Rose, what I stated was that it was my opinion at that particular moment that the executive session hadn't started until that issue was addressed. That's what I said, and what I said is on tape, and I would appreciate it if you don't put words in my mouth as to what I thought or what I said. And thank you very much.
That said, Mr. Crandall, the point that I am trying to make here is that, and I would draw a distinction from what Mr. Crandall said, because we do have rules that address it. And that evening, the committee did not vote in its protocol, as our rules allow, to exclude us from it. There had been a practice to allow non-committee members in legislative meetings. The point that I want to make tonight is, should this be a continuing practice? It's a sad practice for the people of Herkimer County. And the reason it's a sad practice is we know that in your selection of committee members, Mr. Chairman, we do not have minority representation.
No, I'm going to tell you, no, I'm not going to let you finish, because I'm going to tell you what the whole premise behind that was the other night. It was because confidentiality was breached.
You don't know by whom.
It doesn't matter. We had to limit those,
You don't know if it wasn't the people you were letting in the room.
I didn't want to take that chance. I didn't want to, Mr. Smith didn't want to take that chance. It was his call, okay?
It's not his call, though, that's my point.
It's his
Mr.
call
Committee.
as the chairman of that committee.
Mr.
I'll stand
Chairman,
by that.
Our rules are silent on that. Our rules
Well, then we can
say.
address that with Mrs. Maneen's
Our
committee, and
rules
you
say
can bring
that-
that up.
Okay,
Mrs.
so-
Rose, you can bring that up.
Mr. Chairman.
Confidentiality was breached, and let me remind you,
It
it's a
wasn't
very
breached.
serious offense.
There's no question about it. And you think
And
that
that's
any
how
of
it
the
was
people-
handled.
Any
And
of
that's how
the
it was
people, no, it was not. You were attempting to take the people, whoever had this brainchild, was attempting to say that the people that you were going to exclude from the
No, it
room
was not
were
meant that
going
way.
to make
I
your
refute
session more
that.
confidential.
It was not meant that way. It was to limit the exposure.
Well,
Okay?
the problem I have with that, and I think other people have, there's people that have a problem with that, is in your committee structure, you have chosen to restrict minority representation on those committees. It's a choice that you made. It was your right to make it. We attempted to override that, and we weren't successful. I understand that. When we take this further still, when you want to talk about a breach of confidentiality, if you have hard facts, call the person out on it. What happened there was an attempt to impugn. Whether it was intended or not, if you review what you did, what was done, you take the committees, you don't know where the leak on a previous topic occurred. I have speculation myself right now that after talking with some people I suspect I do know, and I don't think it was by anybody in this room.
One person in this room held up an email, let me remind you, and it sort of admitted it, okay?
I don't believe
This
that's
is enough,
true.
this is enough on it. Do you want to talk about
No,
something?
I want to talk
No.
about what's
No,
happening
Mrs.
here in
Rose,
terms of transparency,
no, Mrs.
Mr.
Rose,
Chairman.
And you can talk about that in Mrs. Maneen's committee.
I can't
okay?
talk about it on the floor of this legislature when you've attempted to restrict? Are you saying that that's not an open
I'm not
topic?
restricting, you've already talked about it, we've talked about this at length.
No, Mr.
It
Chairman,
needs
I
be
want to
talked-
clarify something
Well,
else. You
we'll
didn't allow me.
clarify it in the committee
Miss,
meeting.
I want to
Enough,
clar-
Mrs. Rose.
Mr.
Continue
Chairman.
on with something else, or sit
Another
down.
comment that was made that evening.
Mrs. Rose.
It's another topic, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
A comment that was made that evening was the need for us to hold legislative business private, even outside of executive session. That was made by the chairman of the Human Resource Committee. I want it to be very clearly understood. I very much embrace transparency. I am so glad that we're publishing things on the website. I will continue to take what I have and send it to the Concerned Citizens Group to post on their website too. Because the things that I receive are not confidential. They are notices of meetings, they're the resolutions. I will continue to submit those in hopes that our citizens can be better informed, and I hope it's a decision that this group will embrace. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Harvey.
Just briefly, and I won't beat on this thing, but I'm just kind of perplexed how Mrs. Rose could have been divulging executive session material when it was just the executive session did not commence until members left. So if she was one of the members, I don't know how she divulged anything. But on that note, I would like to thank the members of this chamber, legislators and department heads who are here, as well as many county employees for their many expressions of sympathy during the recent time when I lost my mom. It didn't mean a lot to me and my family. Thank you.
Our condolences. Anyone else? Mrs.
Can I
Yeah,
address something else? Country Manor was mentioned briefly tonight because there was an open discussion at one of the committee meetings. And I just wanted to make a comment about that. Every discussion that I've heard in this chamber and from members of this body relative to Country Manor is how much money we are losing. If you're looking at it from a business perspective, paving, plowing, public safety, fire protection, and road maintenance are money-losing propositions. Would we shut down any of those operations without careful consideration as to its effects? Just as those services are not a business proposition, Country Manor is not a business. It is a service that our ancestors considered vital and important. It is a service that has been provided to individuals that may not have another option, despite the fact that they contributed to other services such as public safety and road construction throughout their lifetime by paying taxes. And based on the information that I have at this point, I do not believe that it's cost effective to continue to operate it as we are now indefinitely. I do not pretend to know what the best options are relative to the home's future. I submit that those advocating jumping on any deal that comes along do not know what the best options are either. I don't believe we've heard them all. We have a duty to the current residents and to the employees to ensure a smooth transition. We also have a duty to our taxpayers to get fair market value for the real property, should we decide to sell it after careful and due deliberation. Some have asked why our Country Manor employees have not sought employment elsewhere based on the fact that county leaders have discussed closure of the facility. I submit that it may be due to a sense of caring and compassion for its residents and a lack of willingness to abandon them. This is not a business we are talking about. Country Manor residents aren't products, byproducts, or merchandise. They are our people. They most likely feel a sense of comfort and security in their current home, sharing life with their fellow residents and our employees who they may consider their family. They are and or were someone's family members whose care and well-being was entrusted to us. Let us accept that providing service is not a business venture, but a public service based on public policy established by our ancestors. Let us carefully consider and duly deliberate on this matter. If closure is the answer, let's ensure that we demonstrate a sense of compassion for the residents and the employees. If closure is the answer, let's ensure a smooth transition and ensure that those in need are taken care of. If closure is necessary, let's ensure that we request RFPs and study all options with due diligence. Let us get independent appraisals and ensure that our taxpayers get fair market value. I think we really got to take our time and seriously consider that thing, and it's not a money-losing business. It means something to some people. And I'll be very brief about the jail discussion tonight, because the meeting wouldn't be complete without a jail discussion, would it? But, there was another option brought up tonight, and actually I told Mr. Demery had the opportunity to speak at the public portion. He apparently spoke to a few members of the county leadership as well as our county attorney. The same option, but I don't know if anybody else in this room knew about it. My thought is that, I don't know, I'm not interested in looking at properties to build, especially at that size. I really think we should have a sincere and genuine discussion with Oneida County and look at other options. However, there's one other option that I think people have to consider if you're gung-ho on building and buying property or taking property away from somebody. And I think it's unfortunate that some of these options seem to be getting swept under the rug for whatever reason. I don't think that's good public policy. Thank you.
I make a motion that we adjourn. Oh.
Anyone else before we adjourn? I have a couple on the,
Yes, on Monday, March 26th, the Herkimer County Soil and Water will be holding their annual Cooperators Dinner. It will be held at the Cedarville Fire Hall, and we will honor various cooperators who have worked with Soil and Water. Anyone here, all are invited. Anyone interested, call the Soil and Water office in East Herkimer. And that's, again, Monday, March 26th.
Anyone else? Okay, I've got a couple items real quick here. I went to Office of the Aging Advisory meeting this morning, and there is a Senior Citizen of the Year Award, and if there's any nominees in the community that you know of, contact Mary Scanlon down in the office. They're seeking 2 nominations. Yes.
There is an age limit, or not a limit, but a starting age.
Yes, the nominees must be a Herkimer County resident, at least 60 years of age, and have a history of volunteer service to the senior citizens. All nominations must include the name, address, and age of the nominee, along with a brief narrative less than 400 words. Any reason why the person should receive the award. Anyone who has been nominated before but not selected can be renominated. Self-nominations will not be accepted. So there's some of the parameters. So if you know somebody who's deserving of this award, please contact Mary, and we'd like to recognize them. Second, I had the privilege, but the duty to go to a NISAC conference along with 3 other legislators. Mr. Wallace went also, and a lot of various topics were discussed. The main topic is the mandate relief. There is a website, and I'd like to use the video land to get that out there. There is a website that the governor set up, or the NISAC has set up. It's called mandaterelief.com. Again, mandaterelief.com. They urge residents to log on to that website. There you'll find, you just put your name in, you'll find a bullet where your county is listed. Hit your county, hit Herkimer County, Mr. Seward, Senator Seward, and Assemblyman Butler's name pop up. Step 3 is to confirm your letter. There's a letter there that states it's a form letter saying that you're very concerned about the mandates that we all face, and it's almost like a petition drive. So I urge the residents to sign up, and if you have time, go on to other counties and pop a few extra petitions off in that regard. So this would show, NISAC would get this information, relay it back to the appropriate senators and assemblymen, and we'll get the word out, and hopefully, in numbers, we'll have a bigger vote. Also, there's a press release for PRO Act prescription discount cards. As you know, I think it was a few years back, we initiated back in 2009 of May. It's been a great program. There's a press release here, and I don't know if you should read the whole thing, but maybe I will real quick here. In slightly over 2 years, Herkimer County residents have collectively saved over $1 million while using the PRO Act prescription discount card program. The discount card program was exclusively endorsed by the Herkimer County Legislature in May 2009. Since the program was implemented, residents have filled more than 44,000 prescriptions, saving an average of 49%, or $22.86 of each prescription they fill. Herkimer County and PRO Act work together in an effort to help the uninsured and underinsured resident obtain financial relief at the pharmacy when filling their prescription. When residents utilize the discount card, they can expect to see savings ranging from 10 to 20% on brand name prescriptions and 20 to 70% on generic prescriptions. The discount card program also offers residents of Herkimer County the opportunity to save on vision, hearing, and LASIK services, as well as access to low-cost dental and coverage plan. Herkimer County is amongst the 47 counties across New York State who exclusively endorse the prescription discount card program. Combined, these counties have saved residents across the state more than $76 million while filling more than 2.5 million prescriptions. The discount card program is currently saving residents an average of 47%, or just over $29. For residents who lack full prescription coverage, this is part of my statement, but I'll read it anyway. For residents who lack full prescription coverage or those who have no coverage at all, a trip to the pharmacy can be very costly, said myself, Chairman of the Legislature. By taking advantage of this cost-free program, residents can see sizable savings in each of the prescriptions they fill. And it goes on, just a little more. But anyways, this is for immediate release if the press is here and wants to get a copy. It's been a great program, and we urge everyone, and there's no age limit on this. It's not just for seniors, it's for, cradle to our seniors. So take advantage of it. And if you need,
How do residents apply?
just call the ladies here at the clerk, and we'll send it out. Copy, but just a little card they give you, and you just present it to your pharmacist, and they'll take care of it if your plan takes it. Okay. Anyone else? All right, Mrs. Manning.
So move again to adjourn to our next meeting, March 21st at 7:30 p.m.
Very good. Second, Mr. Shaw. Motion adjourned. Carried.
What's up? What's going on? Too much, you? Staying out of trouble? Nope. What's that? Not at all,
For you. Thank you. Thanks, Rob. Thank you. How you doing? You too.
All right.
Joe.
Would you believe that was 13 years ago? I haven't gone to see that in 13 years. He gave me such a confidence of taking it on. This was one that's around
You'll know.